You made me happy. This you can bear. You stood right beside me, yeah, and I won't forget. And I really love you. You should know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. We've had our good time. That's what they say. We've hurting each other. Girl, it's a shame. I won't be foolish, no. I wanna know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. Yeah. You know I thank the sun rises and shines on you. You know there's nothing I would not do. Oh no, before I let you go. Never let you go before I know. We were so close. Our love was strong. I can't understand it, no. Where did we go wrong? And I won't be happy, girl. I've got to know. I gotta make sure I'm right before I let go. I can't let you go. Oh, I know. Come on, y'all. I wanna know before I let you go. I gotta know. Go, 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 go. How you felt so good, kind that lasts forevermore. So you thought it would. Suddenly the things you see got you hurt so bad, so bad. How come the things that make us happy make us sad? Seem to be joy and pain. I like sunshine and rain. Joy and pain. I like sunshine and rain. Ooh. Love can be bitter. Love can be sweet. Sometimes devotion and sometimes deceit. The ones that you care for give you so much pain. Oh, but it's all right. They're both one and the same. Don't it seem we go through life going up and down? Seems the things that turn you on turn you around. Always hurting each other. If it ain't one thing, it's another. When the world is down on you, love somewhere around. And I want you to know joy, like sunshine and rain. Ooh, joy and rain. I like sunshine and rain. Hey, 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 sunshine. One more time. Hey, 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 sunshine. Ooh. Over and over, you can be sure there will be sorrow, but you will endure. Where there's a flower, there's the sun and the rain. Oh, but it's wonderful. They're both one in the
That was Frankie, Beverly, and Mays. Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. Hello.
Hello.
Miss Letha said hello real quick. She's in the back in the kitchen cooking. I wish I was down there to eat with her right now. Hello, how you doing, Brenda? And to the people in the bushes. Yeah, we did a little jam and joy and pain. And before I let you go, by Frankie, Beverly, and Mays, the originals. I like original music. But it's always some good news and it's always some bad news. Now, somebody talk politics to me. Somebody talk justice to me. Somebody talk politics to me. Somebody talk justice to me. When I say politics, I mean people. Because if you don't run to represent people, then you have no business being in politics or running for office. When you run for office, it's to represent the people and not represent yourself. And it's to do right by people and to do good what's for the people, by the people. Okay. That somebody talk politics to me. Also, let me go here. This was a bit perplexing, and I would be remiss if I didn't discuss this. Several bodies are being found, even in our state, Michigan. I'm aware. People are constantly missing. People are constantly being murdered. Kids being murdered. People committing suicide. You have teachers who are pushing all type of demonic, diabolical, crazy, ancient agendas in 2019. Um, Let me pull this clip up. This teacher was terminated. That's fine and dandy. Also, there's a host of police officers. I'm going to start dropping links to attorney generals, state representatives, mayors, and the like in the chat because some police officers and some people in authority need to be fired. Gone are the days where you can just shoot and kill an unarmed person, an unarmed black person because I am black, an unarmed person, no matter what skin tone that they're housed in. Gone are the days of that because a little leaven leavens the whole lump. And if you keep doing it over here in this arena, you're going to spill it off into a whole nother arena and group of people. So, some reprimands need to come forth. Some swift judgments need to be had. Jobs need to be lost. There needs to be a pushback on the union who backs officers who kill kids. There needs to be a pushback on the union who is backing a host of foolishness. And there definitely needs to be a pushback on any social media platform who thinks this foolishness is okay. Now, hey Shauna, how you doing? Oh, you're outside with your grandson? Oh, nice. It's a beautiful day to be outside. I was outside earlier, trust and believe, as soon as it stopped raining. Let me go here. Let me pull this up. This is a bit perplexing and crazy. Um, I don't know why uh, people um, or teachers would think that this was okay. This is never okay. People need to stop acting like certain things don't exist. Just because you deny or are in denial about a thing does not make it non-existent. And just because you refuse to talk about or address the issue does not make it go away. Okay. And it makes no, never mind to me that the school was private. I think that's even a greater issue. Is that a private school, like I said, any school, any teacher thought that this was okay. Um, this is just not, this is not cool. This is not cool. This is not cool at all. Um, let me go here. I got it pulled up in the background and go ahead and share this. This is just not cool to me at all. All right. Let me switch it off so you all can hear the sound. A bit perplexing. I don't know that I'm going to show the whole thing, but I will show some of it. And I will move on to the next perplexing and disturbing topic. And this is what we fight for. And this is why we stay in the fight.
A New York State Attorney General investigation actually found that Black students, we're talking about fifth graders here, they were cast as slaves in a mock slave auction. Once again, we are talking about fifth grade. So AG Letitia James said Wednesday that her office's investigation found in two separate fifth grade social studies classes, a teacher asked all of the African-American students to raise their hands and then instructed them to exit the classroom and stand in the hallway. The teacher then placed imaginary chains or shackles on these students' necks, wrists, and ankles and had them then walk back into the classroom. And at that point, that's when their white classmates were encouraged to bid on them. The investigation found that the teacher's reenactments in the two classes had a profoundly negative effect on all of the students pregnant, especially the Black students, and the school community at large. Following the reenactments, the schools terminated the teacher's employment. Now we're talking about a private school in Bronxville, New York. I think it's called the Chapel School. The investigation further revealed prior parental complaints, of course, to school administrators about the school's alleged lack of racial sensitivity and found that the school did not take sufficient steps to address the complaint. Now the school is now going to make some changes, and this is what that looks like. The school must develop and submit a plan to increase minority representation among faculty and retain a diversity consultant for help educating students and school employees about racial and ethnic diversity in the educational setting. Annual tuition at the school is about $14,000, and they now have agreed to commit new financial aid to increase diversity in its student body, and also submit a new code of conduct to the Attorney General's office for addressing racial and ethnic discrimination and harassment, as well as other prohibited behaviors. And additionally, the school is required to create a formal complaint procedure for students or parents to report harassment or discrimination.
Okay, I have a bit of a shocking story here.
Really?
Can you beat that?
Well, hold. So in my high school, we had a slave auction.
What?
Yeah, and so it was not like this. I don't know if it was better or worse. What happened was, and I've told this in previous post games. That's the last half hour of the show for members. They had, and it was back in 1988. And they auctioned off what they considered to be the prettiest girls and guys in the school, and people would bid on them, and then they would be their slaves for a day, and they had to do whatever the person who won the auction told them, obviously within bounds and nothing sexual, right? But back in '88, in a place that was fairly diverse, where I didn't really notice much racism, and I could be totally wrong about that, but I didn't notice it. They thought that was perfectly normal, right? And by the way, most of the school was mixed, but not a lot of African Americans. There was a lot of immigrants, but not a lot of African Americans. So most of the people in the auction were white, and immigrants. But there was one black girl in the auction. My girlfriend was in the auction. I didn't win. Somebody else got her. Okay, so there's a lot of like craziness. So but this, like we did this before, and in a much tamer way, and then it got banned. I don't know if you guys remember this famous experiment that the teacher did in Kansas. I forget if it was the 1950s or so. So she separated the class into kids with brown eyes and blue eyes. And right, and it said, "Hey, the kids with the brown eyes," I think she said first was superior, and then the kids with the blue eyes are inferior. And man, they internalized it like that.
Yep.
The brown-eyed kids all of a sudden got all confident, and their test scores went up, and the blue-eyed kids' test scores went down. It's an amazing experiment. And then she flipped it, and it worked again with the same students. It was one of the most interesting experiments I've ever heard of. But you know what they did afterwards? They banned it, because don't do that, they're kids.
Right, and the whole time I'm thinking, right, yeah.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm looking in the chat. And be you Black, Indian, white, Latin, whatever, Asian, that's not cool. That's just not cool. It's not cool, especially in New York, to auction off Black kids in 2 classrooms to some white kids and have the Black kids in chains and bound up and tell some white kids, come on and buy them. Now, understand this. Black kids, of course, they were uncomfortable. The white kids were too, right along with other nationalities, as they should have been. The teacher was terminated, but 2019 in America, you don't have any time for any reason, under any circumstance, to have my child, when I'm paying $14,000 annually, to go in no one's classroom and to have artificial chains put on them for them to be sold off to anybody at any time. First of all, we have a lot of trafficking of kids going on, and Florida was known for that. High trafficking volume. Now other states have taken over of kids bound in chain. It's crazy. But to make some other little kids sit up there and participate in that is foolishness. That is a slap in the face, Sweet Pea. And I tell you what, I love the Lord. He heard my cry, but it would have put Jesus and a host of angels to keep me up off that teacher. Yeah, it would have. Yeah, 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 yeah. I don't think I would have been at a place where I would have been willing to receive negotiation. No, I know I wouldn't. So thank God it wasn't me. Okay. But it was somebody's child, and that's perplexing and disturbing. Um, Sweet Pea, can you see the kids, fifth graders, saying, okay, this is the class project because they have to get a grade. And we always teach our kids to respect authority, or some of us do. And there has to be a different way that we teach our kids. Like when authority is out of order, well, then what's your plan of action for your child? My plan of action for my child, because she's in high school and they're allowed to have their cell phones in class, they have to be off. Text me. If you can't physically call me, do what you have to do and text me. Because guess what? I'll leave off a job. I'll stop doing schoolwork. I will do whatever I have to do to get to you. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough to keep me from getting to my child when I need to get there. Period. Oh, sure, lovely Shauna. You sure can. I'm going to drop it in an email for you right now, and I will most definitely give you some advice and try to get you some additional help. So there's my email address. Okay. And then we have, oh, Miss Letha dropped off. She was cooking them greens. AM is at the pool with her kids, or should be doing something with her kids, but let's see. Really quick. Then we have Northern United States of Ohio. And understand, I'm in the Northern United States, Michigan. So I know racism still exists. I would be a fool not to believe. So about a week or so plus ago, over a week ago, we have a KK rally in Ohio. Ohio, you right next door to us. As a matter of fact, had not Michigan decided to take the Upper Peninsula, Ohio would have been the state of Michigan. That would have been part of the state of Michigan years ago. But instead of Michigan negotiating to take all of Ohio, we went with the Upper Peninsula because of the copper that was there. So the UP Upper Peninsula, that's part of Michigan. That's the way that went down. So it's a bit perplexing. Ohio right next door to Michigan, that you think that the KKK thought that they was just going to have a rally. So they thought they was going to have a rally in the Northern United States and it was going to be okay with us. So you thought, who you bold enough to have the audacity to think that you're going to have a KKK rally and it's going to be okay with us? I got to go there too. What in the world is wrong with these people? Right. And I don't care if you're white, you're black, you're blue, you're purple. You got to fight against foolishness and get out of this mentality. Oh, me, my four, or however many and no more. Stand up in the four walls. Stand up in your four walls, being enclosed. Even when it comes to social media, being enclosed, you still within the four walls of something somewhere. You're not out there on the ground pushing back up against people. Yes, we will continue to send letters and do everything. It takes all of it in its totality. And it's the continuation of keeping that foot on that pedal, full speed ahead, and not letting up until we get the resolve that we know we should have for your child, for my child, and for the generation coming behind us. I tell you, this foolishness have got to stop, because we have a generation of kids coming behind us. And shame on the people who sit up there and came up with that television show. And I do not watch regular TV. I don't. My television collects dust in my room. It's just a piece of decoration for me. And for guests, when they come over, if they sleep in the room, they can freely, whatever. However, this show that thought it was okay for, okay, lovely, I got it. The show that thought it was okay, hey, AM, and there's AM in the bottom. The show that thought it was okay to teach kids to commit suicide. I don't know the name of it. I looked at it a while back. That's not cool either. That's not cool. That's not cool. Parents, whether you have a baby, a toddler, young child, preteen, teenager, or adult child, you're the authorities in your child's life. You're the first authority in your child's life. That's number one. Number two, know what they're doing. They don't have to live with you to know for you to know what they're doing. I'm not talking about being all up in their business, trying to dictate and run their life. Okay? They have a free will once they up out your house. No free willing inside your house, but know what they're doing. Because see, it's a diabolical plot to destroy people. And every year or every couple of years, it gets younger and younger. They go at the younger and younger kids, because you have games out there. The one game that they stopped that was teaching people how to commit suicide, but then you have other games, and then you have this television show, and they're saying, oh, it's okay to just end your life. It's okay to just take your life. If you are a child, a teenager, a preteen, even if you are an adult, you need to know that your life is as precious as gold. There's an invaluable treasure on the inside of you. No one else can do what you were created to do the way you were created to do it. You are necessary in this earth. No, your life is valuable. And no, it's not okay to just end your life, because you're needed here. You have a host of people who love you. You have a world out there who needs you. Now, that's what I'm going to say on that note. And shame on the people who writing stuff, sitting up, coming up with these TV shows, telling people to take their life. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with this spirit of non-compassion and foolishness running rampant in the United States of America? Hey, King Bid. Now, a little bit of the lioness is coming out. Yeah, I'm going to roar on that right there. You have invaluable treasure on the inside of you. I'll say it again. For the people who sit up and create these stupid and foolish shows, you need to be put in prison. Your human life is valuable, and it's extremely precious. Okay, it's priceless. All right, let me calm myself down just a little. So let's get to this KKK rally in Ohio, which is right next door to Michigan. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, Ohio would have been part of Michigan. Let's get to this. Okay. Now, they tried to say it was 9. It was not. It was a total of 90 people who thought that they was just gonna pop up and be Ku Klux Klan and some white sheets, right, whatever, and just openly have a rally. No, like I said, that's a bit perplexing to me too, because we're in the northernized states, and we know racism still exists here. However, it was always a little bit taboo and done behind closed doors in northernized states, and people were not so as years went along so out in the open with it, because what you got was not just a pushback from Black people, you got a pushback from white people too, because we do understand in the northern states a little something about solidarity and working across color lines and working across all lines because of the fight that we had to go through with big business and getting union rights and getting a fair wage, a working wage, living wages. So it was not just white people fighting, it was white, Mexican, Hispanic, Black, Indians. We were all in this fight together in the northern United States. So that formed some solidarity. You had to be on one accord. But this right here is a bit perplexing. That people think this is okay, and the New York Times, I'm going to show them they have a little bit of their information wrong. It was 90 plus people, and it was 1,000 plus protesters. Okay, so let me go here and share this really quick. It's just the fact that we have stupid stuff going on. Now I'm gonna put this in the stupid category because it makes absolutely no sense. Okay, let me turn the volume off for y'all. Calm myself down, slow myself down, and put this volume on.
Segregation!
against your sister. It's the system that has been set up to destroy you. There's a system that has been set up to take you out, to take me out, to take your children out, and it's not getting any better. It's gonna get worse and worse, except for one thing. You are looking at a people who have decided to rebel against the system. We stand here not just for ourselves, but we stand here as the voice of our generation. We are your voice when you don't know what to say. We are the cries of your babies that haven't been born yet. And we stand here to defy the system and to say this day, not only do we say it in words, but we say it in actions. Enough is enough.
Now, enough is enough. And if we don't fight, who gonna fight? If not you, who? If not now, when? If not with the methods of old and the methods of new, how? Okay? That was crazy. That was very crazy. And I'm happy it didn't happen again in Michigan, but it was just a white supremacist that came here on the university campus, and that was all the way turned up. People got taken to jail. That was a straight turn up on state of Michigan. You know, Michigan State. That was a complete turn up. And blows was being thrown. That, and by the way, to my Michiganders, and it's not surprised me, I don't know if we still are, we are known for being the state that bullies the most, which does not surprise me. We're also the state that has a host of murders, more than Illinois, which last year we were, which does surprise me, with people who just show up missing, which doesn't surprise me either. We need to get our stuff together too. So that's why I constantly, I'll stay on the ground here, but I'll also venture out to other areas. We need to get our stuff together here too. Stop some of this foolishness we doing. And half of Michigan problem is somebody jealous of somebody that's jealous of somebody. And the other half is you did something to little Ray, whoever, whatever, and I'm gonna get you back. Okay. Right, lovely Shauna. Oh, Shauna, Perkins, you had your first son in Saginaw, Michigan. Saginaw used to be known as Sag Nasty, and it was an area in Saginaw, Michigan that the police did not even want to venture off in a couple of years ago, because they knew as soon as they showed up in that area, they could not handle what was coming their way. They could not handle the gangs in that one area in Saginaw. They could not handle those guys. They could not handle them. And eventually, they got a little bit handle on, a much better handle on it now. But a few years ago, they couldn't handle the area. They couldn't handle it. So let me venture on to the next thing. Gosh. And see, another mass shooting. And At what point does America really get a handle on making sure guns does not get into the hand of the wrong people? Not only do people need a psychiatric evaluation, but the police officers do too. And we are fully aware of that. That not all officers are law-abiding officers. Not all judges or attorneys are law-abiding people either. So, at what point do we in America get a handle on this gun violence, because we are the most violent nation in the world? And those are the facts. Was he, Sweet Pea? I'm sorry to hear that. Right, Shauna Perkins, we do have to keep our foot down. And this is Virginia Beach, Virginia. Place that everybody's, oh, it's so great. Whatever. Whatever. So I want to say this. People, you can live wherever you want to live. But I see a lot of people talking about, oh, they from the hood. I don't like police brutality either, and we need to resist police brutality. But I got to go here. For people who talk about, oh, they live in the hood, or they live here, or they live there, or they live there. Yeah, you want to live in a decent area. However, evil doesn't have an area. Evil is in all areas. Evil is not just associated with a specific group of people. Evil can show up anywhere, anytime. That's why it's best that you be prayed up for real. Not just praying, but couple it with some fasting. But let's go here to this. Virginia Beach, Virginia. Another terroristic person in America killing a bunch of people at one time for no reason. I mean, like what? Did you know these people? Did they do something to you? Are you retaliating from something that somebody did against a family member? No, you don't even know these people. But when you have people pushing teachings like the KKK, we're superior. You see how you get this over here in America. Stupid stuff like that.
We were all just terrified.
Chaos and carnage in Virginia Beach as police descend on a city government building after reports of an active shooter.
We have a victim down along with somebody shooting.
We do know that shortly after 4 p.m. this afternoon, the suspect entered Building 2. He's a longtime employee of Public Utilities, and he immediately began to indiscriminately fire upon all the victims.
The victims were inside the city municipal building, which houses scores of government workers. Megan Banton described the scene inside.
You hear this all the time on the news, but you don't think it's ever going to happen to you. Basically, it was like, this is not a drill. Get down, call 911. And that's when we just I called 911 and we all just ran in her office and closed the door.
I was inside of my office. We heard shooting, building 10A.
Police tactical teams quickly locked in on a potential suspect who was armed with a long gun and a handgun and was shooting on multiple floors.
Still actively hearing gunshots.
Do we have any idea what the shooter's at? I'm going in. All units. He's on the second floor. Shooter on the second floor. Detectives coming through the garage sally port. Shots fired, second floor. He's going up the steps.
Chief James Cervera praising the quick thinking of his officers, saying their actions prevented more fatalities.
When the original call came out, immediately 4 officers responded. Due to the sound of gunfire, they were able to locate the floor in which the suspect was committing his carnage. They immediately engaged with the suspect, and I can tell you that it was a long gun battle between those 4 officers and that suspect.
The alleged shooter, 40-year-old Dwayne Craddock, but tonight, the police chief choosing to focus on the victims.
We do know who the suspect is. We will release his name once. We're going to mention his name once, and then he will be forever referred to as the suspect.
It's a sight that's become all too familiar. Dozens of people fleeing from buildings. Victims rushed out on stretchers.
Mass shootings are continuing to increase. Mass shootings now get a lot more media coverage than they did in years past. And sadly, people who are thinking about mass shootings now see it demonstrated, and it actually can give them courage to then go try it themselves.
Virginia Beach is a popular summer tourist destination, now reeling as the community searches for answers in the wake of yet another senseless attack.
This is the most devastating day in the history of Virginia Beach. The people involved are our friends, co-workers, neighbors.
So far, there have been 150 mass shootings in the U.S. in 2019. Virginia Beach joining the growing list of communities forced to reckon with the unimaginable.
I'll probably have a lot of trouble sleeping at night, but yeah, just going home, hugging my family. I have a 11-month-old baby at home, and all I could think about was him and trying to make it home to him.
Just 3 weeks ago, students in Colorado on lockdown when one student opened fire, killing 1, injuring 8. And last month at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, 21-year-old Riley Howell sacrificed his own life to save his classmates when he charged at a gunman who had opened fire in a classroom. He was one of 2 left dead.
All of us need to be aware that we could end up in one of these situations. I actually think that people need to sort of think in those realms without being paranoid or letting it consume their thinking.
We mourn with their loved ones, but sympathy doesn't fill that hole. We must take care of these families. These horrific tragedies test our souls.
And of course, we'll have the very latest from Virginia Beach on Good Morning America.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event.
So, like I said, it's perplexing that this continuously is perpetuated in the United States of America. The plight and political propaganda of a group of people who has fleeced the socks off of the others in America. 150 mass shootings so far, 2019. And it's only June, 150. And it's only June. And we think we don't have time to be engaged. No, we don't have time to be disengaged. We don't have time to be disengaged. Now, in the community where I grew up in, because I grew up in the 80s, part of the 70s. Well, I was a kid in the 70s, a little kid. 80s, 90s. you know, it was the gang violence turned up because the government wanted to do an experiment. The United States government wanted to do an experiment and push crack in the urban areas and push cocaine off in the areas too, in the other areas. Oh, what? You don't think the government was running drugs up in here? What? Who went over there and got them? You don't think that was the United States government, that they weren't involved in that, right along with the FBI during that time, right along with the CIA during that time? Now, it's a bunch of documentary that's factual out there about that. Real people, real names, real situations, real stories. So some of this stuff, some of the wicked of America, America needs to own it. The government needs to own it. Okay? Now, every situation, not in every situation, but they never should have been experimenting on a group of people like they did with syphilis, on those soldiers in the military, the black men. Okay? Some of this stuff, American government, because they're always trying to experiment on people, need to own. Somebody's body being gone, taken. It's not just all cray-cray people per se, or somebody that's a serial killer taking and selling off parts. Some of this, you dig deep enough and you search long enough, it's going to run right back to somebody who was in office in the United States of America. Yeah, that somebody voted on. Okay, that wasn't vetted properly. Yeah, some of this stuff America need to own. Oh, you were born in the 60s? Okay. All right, Miss Letha was born in the 60s, California, sweet pea. Okay. Yeah, some of this stuff, own it and stop it. So we have to be extremely vigilant. But that's perplexing. When does it stop? Where does it end? And for people who are believers or in the body of Christ, some people are out on the front line and others are not. Need to get your stuff together. Need to get your stuff together. And really be about the Father's business. And that is taking authority and establishing dominion in the earth. Okay? And part of that is eliminating stuff like this right here. Cops killing people for no reason, unarmed people. People killing people for no reason, unarmed people. We need to get back to a serious place of prayer and a serious place of respect for one another and just for people and for life. Okay, that needs to happen. And by the way, if you are Black and you happen to view this, I need you to pay attention and stay woke. Now I'm gonna end on this one. And this is Russia targeting, see, because there's a lot of Black people out there who say, talk Black to me. I'm Black, I'm conscious, and I'm woke. I'm so woke, but your so woke behind got bamboozled and hoodwinked into not voting. Okay? And that was an experiment, not just an experiment, some cyber warfare that worked, that was raised by the Russian intelligence, that worked, that specifically targeted Black people. And there's a host of evidence from my field to prove it. With your woke, Black, conscious self, you need to make sure you vote and stay engaged in your community, your city, your state, and in the USA, as well as other nations. But with your woke, Black, conscious self, start here. Yeah, Malia Davis, Right. Who's policing the police? And that was sad. And sweet pea, what's even sadder is as soon as I go to YouTube, I see a bunch of stories about Leah Davis. And it had turned itself into a whole nother Kanika Jenkins conspiracy. And you got a whole bunch of other people over here. A group of people spinning stories and spinning stories and spinning stories. Not one time did these storytellers show up and offer any type of support to the parent. They're just on here making up stuff like a lot of people in the Kanika community, or a lot of people who, I'm not even going to say Kanika Jenkins community, but a lot of people who took on interest in the Kanika Jenkins for whatever reason. Some of the reason was demonic. Got some evil spirits out here. Don't be bamboozled. Everybody is not kind. Everybody is just not out here with good intentions. That's not the truth. That's a lie. I look on and it took wings and flew away like that. Okay. That was interesting. So, people need to get their stuff. We need to get it together. We need to get it together. Okay. So some person then turned themselves in and said he killed her. All right. You killed her? Who else was with you? Because I don't think he was alone. I don't think he did that alone. All right. But we'll see where facts lead. But let's go here. Okay, let me find the one that I want to show on this because, okay, I know what I want to do. All right, here we go. Nope, I don't want to use you as a source. I need to speed this up. Okay, taking all day to get over here. All right, there it is. So let me pull this up for you, y'all. Yeah. Let's hear from somebody who has who was investigating this for a little while. And I want to keep in mind that when you're doing a digital or forensics a computer forensics investigation, you have to have concrete, you have to go through your networks, you have to go through your internet service providers, you have to go through your database servers, you have to go through a host of things, cables, because what's being transmitted throughout coaxial cable in your house is data. What's being transmitted throughout any fiber optic cable in your house is data. Okay. So, and that's retrievable, hackable, obtainable, and it's information on the inside being sent, packets of information being sent and received over the internet. So keep that in mind. And not only that, you have to keep in mind that when you do an investigation like this, you go to uh, neighboring countries. Okay. So this is not some fictitious story that was made up. This was real investigating being done. Just to put a different perspective or some perspective on it.
From the Department of Justice is complete. Office. The appointment order directed the office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. Now, I have not spoken publicly during our investigation. I'm speaking today because our investigation is complete. The Attorney General has made the report on our investigation largely public. We are formally closing the special counsel's office, and as well, I'm resigning from the Department of Justice to return to private life. I'll make a few remarks about the results of our work. But beyond these few remarks, it is important that the office's written work speak for itself. Let me begin where the appointment order begins, and that is interference in the 2016 presidential election. As alleged by the grand jury in an indictment, Russian intelligence officers who were part of the Russian military launched a concerted attack on our political system. The indictment alleges that they used sophisticated cyber techniques to hack into computers and networks used by the Clinton campaign. They stole private information and then released that information through fake online and identities and through the organization WikiLeaks. The releases were designed and timed to interfere with our election and to damage a presidential candidate. And at the same time as the grand jury alleged in a separate indictment, a private Russian entity engaged in a social media operation where Russian citizens posed as Americans in order to influence an election. These indictments contain allegations, and we are not commenting on the guilt or the innocence of any specific defendant. Every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The indictments allege, and the other activities in our report describe, efforts to interfere in our political system. They needed to be investigated and understood, and that is among the reasons why the Department of Justice established our office. That is also a reason we investigated efforts to obstruct the investigation. The matters we investigated were of paramount importance. It was critical for us to obtain full and accurate information from every person we questioned. When a subject of an investigation obstructs that investigation or lies to investigators, it strikes at the core of their government's effort to find the truth and hold wrongdoers accountable.
Okay, so let me get back into this. That's Robert Mueller, by the way. If I definitely have been paying attention to that. But let me make this very plain and clear. To the people rich in melatonin, even to the people that aren't rich in melatonin, but especially to the people that's extremely rich in melatonin, when you come by and you view this with your woke, conscious self or selves, with your non-voting self, with your rich in melatonin in America non-voting self, really disrespectful to your ancestors who gave their life, who were beaten beyond recognition, who died so you can be over here to vote, so you can be over here and have a voice, and part of voting is your voice, because you talk about the lesser or two evils. Russia targeted us, those who were rich in melatonin, okay? And they succeeded. So what they did was got your conscious woke self not to vote. The target was Black Americans. They succeeded because a lot of Black Americans did not vote. Okay? So they achieved their objective. Damage done. You got 45 in there. Okay? 45 is in there. Yeah, 45 is in there. And he don't know what he's doing at all when it comes to traditional American government. He doesn't even understand how it's ran. However, he does know what he's doing when it comes to manipulating, controlling, and bamboozling people. He got that down pat. Okay? Make America great again. Wink, wink, hint, hint. It's a slap across your face. Because everybody with any sense know the slaves built America for free. Okay? Railroads, infrastructure, houses, farming. Now, this time around, you conscious Black people, make sure your conscious Black woke self vote and use your voice that way. And if you don't see a candidate you like, I've said it before and I'll say it again, you be the candidate. You run. You run. You be the one. You be the one you looking for. You run. Yeah, you run. And keep in mind, the Russian military was involved. The Russian government was involved. Why? Because they don't have a democracy over there. Okay? It's a dictatorship, which means, let me explain this too while I'm right here. For people who don't understand what a dictatorship is, there is nothing that you do over there in countries where they have dictatorships and not democracy that the government does not know about. And that includes the sites you visit over the internet. They know all of that. Okay? To the point where the ones in Asia were shutting down complete networks, saying our people won't be going to these sites. We control that. We'll dictate and control what sites they visit. And we don't like them, they won't be visiting those. Yeah. So that meant the president over there, Putin, right along with the military, knew exactly what they were doing. They were aware. Okay? That's not a democracy over there. That's a dictatorship. Dictator. They have a dictator over there. Okay? That's dictating. Yeah. Dictatorship over there. Censorship over there. You don't move over there without your president and the government backing you and know what you're doing, unless you've gone rogue. They did not go rogue. The government knew what they were doing and backed them and were involved. Now, Miss Letha, don't nominate me for president. No, ma'am. The Lord would have to speak. Now, and to the other nationalities, you need to stay woke too, because guess what? Just because they targeted Black Americans specifically, the target was still Americans. Yeah. It just worked with that group. And so they're very cunning and crafty. And who do you assume will be next? They'll keep going from group to group to group to group. If this does not get nipped in the bud in a big way. And Facebook, shame on you. Now, I just recently got back on Facebook 2 years ago because I didn't care for Facebook in the way that they roll and operate from a technological perspective, have no integrity, never had any. Okay? I do understand what's going on behind the scenes. And that's fear of forensics more than I come on here and say. Shame on you. But back to my people rich in melanoma. Make sure you get up off your backside and vote. And if you don't see nobody you want to vote for, well, then run. Get your name on the ballot. Put your feet on the ground. You be the one you're looking for. Now, that the conscious people over here in America, the Black, and I'm being very cynical right now, the Black conscious community who didn't vote, and I'm not saying all, I'm saying a lot of Black people up here. I'm Black and I'm conscious, but they didn't vote. Russia played you. Mano y mano. You got played. Now, how you like that? Now that I said this, I'm going to conclude right there, but we're going to go off on a happy note with some music. How about that? So let me pull a song back that I started off with. Let me pull it back and send us off on a happy note. Because I'm not angry, but I am woke and I am conscious.
Whoa, whoa. You made me happy. This you can get. You stood right beside me, yeah. And I won't forget. And I really love you. You should know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. We've had a good time. That's not to say. We've hurt each other. Girl, it's a shame. I won't be foolish, no. I wanna know. I wanna make sure I'm right, girl, before I let go. Yeah. You know I thank the sun rises and shines on you. You know there's nothing No. Where did we go wrong? I won't be hasty, girl. I've got to know. I gotta make sure I'm right before I let go.
All right, Miss Shauna Perkins, you said don't let you get up and shake it. All right. Shake it. Shake it. If it gets you up, you still alive. Shake it. Let the dead bury the dead. We still living. Shake it. Thank you, Miss Letha, for, I love this blouse too. Yes, yes. Anything that makes a woman look good, smell good, and act good. I love. Okay. And if a man come by, when the man come by and view this, take that little hint for your wife and your significant other. Anything that makes a woman look good, smell good, and act good. Do a lot of that for her. And she'll do right. Oh, yes. Miss Perkins, we be getting down over here. Now, on that note, I want to say this. Don't forget, September is coming up. And for those who can make it, we will be in Rosemont again. Turn it up for Kanika Jenkins, keeping the awareness alive with our feet on the ground and our face touching down for real. For those of you who can make it, make sure you start reserving and booking your, or finding your way there now, putting your monies aside now. September's is a few months away. Okay. So budget that in. I will be there again. And if you cannot come, maybe you can send your contributions and donations of waters and chips or just nice snacks to the people who will be heading that up in the state of Illinois. And I will have further information coming to you from Gina Kidd. With that being said, you all have a pleasant evening, a pleasant night. I'm going to conclude right here. Miss Letha would say, pull it back, pull it back. So I pulled the song back, and AM, who's been taking her kids back and forth to the pool, would say, bye, Chad. And congratulations to AM again on keeping that weight down and keeping that weight off. You all have a pleasant evening, pleasant night, pleasant week. I'm going to do a pop-up during next week because there are a host of other issues I did not get to. Plus, we need to start contacting some senators, some mayors, some governors, some attorney generals. It's time to turn up again. Bye, everybody.